Afternoon, everyone. My name is Diane Cohen, and we are starting a new series called Online Chats. We're going to be talking with people that make a difference in litigation and in claims. Today, our guest is Chris Champlin. Chris is an expert in investigations, and he has a really wide breadth of experience, having started out in the military. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, hey, greetings, Diane, and thank you for having us on the show today. We really appreciate it. Yeah, my name's Chris Champlin. I'm the CEO and president of C&W Claim Solutions. You know, I started back in 1988 with the Marine Corps, wound up, I was on active duty during the Gulf War. Got out, became a police officer, did that for about 12 years. For the last 10 years, I've been working for some major national claims investigations corporations, and finally decided to go off on my own about 4 years ago. So I've got some experience both on the P&C broker side and now claims investigation. So again, thank you for having us on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, your company does something a little different than other investigation companies. You guys do social media capturing. Can you tell me what makes your company different than a regular investigation company, and what it is that your company does for litigated and for claims?
Yeah, sure. You know, one of the things that I learned a long time ago, both in the military and law enforcement, is there's an acronym out there called KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So I recognized a long time ago during SIU that a lot of critical information wasn't asked at the onset of a new loss. Information that could have helped mitigate the exposure, identified potential concurrent employment, aliases, name variations, an address search, things that will help you down the road. For instance, if you need to go get records, you know, you have all the names and socials and dates of birth they've been using. If you're sending out surveillance, you have the right address, which has been validated. So back in April of 2016, we decided to start our own company, and this is all we do. You know, we don't have the overhead that a lot of big PI companies have with a bunch of investigators and things like that. This is all we do. We specialize in nationwide background investigations and social media, capturing as much information as we can, as early as we can, so you can use it, preserve it down the road to help mitigate your claim. And the reason why we're so good at it, again, this is all we do. Our company's not trying to upsell you on something you don't need. Our overhead is extremely low, so our prices are low, which is great for you because you're not spending a lot of money to do a background check, and we turn it around within 24 to 48 hours. And I think it's the best deal in town, to be honest with you. And I might be underselling ourselves.
It sounds like your company's information ultimately can help out investigators as well, because you're documenting things like the type of car that they're driving, what they look like, and so all of these things would be helpful should there need to be surveillance. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's true. We actually work with a lot of other private investigative firms, some of your small mom and pops, which right now are hungry for work. So we do the background investigation, so they go out and get better results for you. You're right, a picture, the right address, the right vehicle, and of course, hopefully they do attend their medical appointment if it's a med legal pickup. But with you know, it's, again, you know, and Diane, I know your son's a Marine, so was I, in recon. You know, it's kind of like do all of your due diligence up front, get all the evidence you can, get the data, then you're going to get better results.
Yes, absolutely. So it's fair to say that 100% of any social media that's not captured early on in the case or at all can't be used to mitigate a claim, because chances are if it gets litigated, then the attorney's going to say shut everything down, wipe it out. So tell me what it is that you do for the client and how you capture that information, and then how can they use that information to shut down a claim early on?
No, that's a very good point. You know, in the world of social media these days, more and more the user has control over the information. We found that, I think you've even found that with trying to subpoena records from Facebook for clients, in that they say, well, the content is owned by the user. And so with that, people can delete this information relatively quickly. So the sooner you can get it, the sooner you can preserve it, then you can use it. Because if you don't get it, it could be gone. And we've had that happen on a few cases, that they waited too long to get it. But now you have data. You have information, you know what questions need to be asked, and you could say, hey, what did you do last weekend? Because I saw this picture of you flipping a dune buggy at Pismo Beach or being out hiking, and yet you're saying you can't come back to work. So now your defense attorney can ask these questions. You could send this information to the medical experts, your PTP, QME, AME, med legal staff, and you can formulate a really strong action plan, and you've saved it. And plus, now you know what they look like.
So let's say we were able to find footage from somebody that was, let's say, at a karate tournament on a weekend, and then of course that Monday they file a claim. I guess the thing would be is the attorney or the examiner could say, are you sure you weren't injured at, or perhaps maybe what they would ask originally is, what did you do the weekend before? And if they said nothing, then they have the evidence showing them that they were at a karate tournament, and maybe even have footage of that. Is that the type of thing that you're securing for?
That is exactly one of the things that can help out. We just did a case where the gentleman was out trail running. He didn't actually post the video, but the company that he was out running with, they posted video. Yet he, was bedridden. So now, exactly, the adjuster, defense attorney, with that knowledge, with that intel, they know what questions need to be asked, how to ask them, if they want to ask them. But it's been saved, it's been preserved, and that's critical to a lot of the work we do.
So then an examiner, an adjuster would be able to say, well, we have actual footage of you. It's been posted. We see that you were running. Would you like to close your claim down now? Right? We could shut it down with that type of information sometimes.
They can, and it has happened, but again, it's up to the adjuster to strategize and, decide what's the best course of action with the information. Our job, frankly, is just to tell you what's out there. We do provide recommendations in our reports, subpoena records, go get this, or maybe surveillance, or ask these questions. But again, genuinely, it comes down to the end user and how they want to use that information. And I have seen claims get shut down on a nuisance value settlement with just a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, I would think that's really compelling evidence to be able to use that, and hopefully be able to shut down that claim early on. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening right now in our world and COVID-19. So I see both of us are working from home. We have a new platform because, we're doing business differently than we used to. Tell me a little bit about trace contacting and what's going on with that.
Yeah, so there's something new the governor just came out with this Monday. It's been around. It's part of the CDC guidelines called contact tracing. And the intent, from what I've read, both on CDC and the state website, is they are going to start tracing people that have come in contact with patients with COVID-19, and then talking them through the process, making sure they're staying safe, they're getting testing and things like that. There's a fundamental part of this contact tracing, and I've been in contact with Dr. Rutherford down at UCSF, who's leading the program, is they need the intel, they need the data. And here's my point. You have a patient that has COVID-19. As we've all heard, the governor's now declared that that's industrial if you're an essential worker. I'm still scratching my head on that, because if you have a garbage collector, he's out in the truck, how does he come in contact with somebody with COVID? I don't know. But my concern is now lifetime disability, because we really don't know what this disease is going to do for the rest of your life, and are we stuck paying for that? But nonetheless, our first responders, our healthcare personnel, they're out there, and they deserve it. But going back to your question, Diane, with contact tracing, we can identify next of kin, family members that are living with the claimant that may have been in contact with somebody with COVID, or your injured worker may have secondary employment while this is all going on and come in contact. We're trying to help you mitigate your exposure by using the social media, using the data, so calls can be made, follow-up can be done. We just did a case where the claimant's son, unfortunately, the claimant died from COVID. The claimant's son is an EMT and was working during a festival in March. So is there a chance the son inadvertently brought it home, gave it to his father, and then the father went to work, infected 13 other people who he was all friends with on social media, and there you go. There's a pandemic. But contact tracing is the hot topic button right now, and this is right up our alley. This is what we do already. So if you have a need to backsource potential exposure outside of your employer, again, this is what we do.
And you guys, obviously, I know that you have clients that are nationwide, so you're not limited to California. You could do work for anybody in any place in the
We
United
can,
States.
yeah, we aren't, the beauty of social media and the internet these days is, we can go anywhere globally, actually. It's harder to get information in Lima, Peru than it would be, San Diego, California, but it is possible.
Yeah, and I know that our companies have actually worked well together. Investigators and document retrieval companies have worked hand in hand for many years. How is it that what do you provide to this pitcher for the examiner that they may be able to get more evidence?
Well, I like to call it fact-based decision making. Right now we need a lot of that. Right now we're making decisions without having all the facts. Our goal is to provide you with as much intel as we can so you can make fact-based decision making, then decide, do you need to go get these records? You have somebody with 10 different last names. They've gotten medical treatment under 5 different names, 6 different dates of birth, and maybe 4 other socials. That information is helpful to a company like yours, Diane. So when you do go search for those records, when you are at that healthcare provider and they say, well, no, we don't have that name, but we have this name under that date of birth with this social, and you have that list in front of you that the adjuster has provided. And now you go, you know what, that's them as well. Because you might be missing out on some critical evidence that can be used to show pre-existing non-industrial claims without knowing what questions to ask. So I think it's phenomenal. And our tools can be used for a vast number of things. Think alive and well checks. We can't send people out anymore to do a face-to-face contact. Do an alive and well check. We have access to the SSN death master files, and we can tell you if they died and when they died, and then to cut off benefits if it's a long-term care kind of a claim. We can provide you with their recent contact information. So you could just call them and go, hey, checking in. How you doing? Are you getting your checks? Life is good, right? Because it's cheaper in the end than and no one wants to go out and see these people anyway.
Yeah, especially during these times. They are definitely tough times. Well, Chris, I'd like to thank you very much for being part of Online Chats. And I certainly hope that all of our viewers are staying safe and healthy. And we will see you at the next episode. Bye-bye.
Peace. Stay safe.